And we are live with the second edition, episode 2 of Battle Talk, presented by Sentries Gaming. Tonight I have with me Jay Sentries. Go ahead and tell us a
How
little
you
bit
doing,
about
man?
yourself. Awesome, man, awesome. And of course, myself tonight, it's Blackhawk15 from Sentries Gaming. We're going to be giving you guys a little bit of update on news that we have that has been released or leaked, so to speak. And then we're going to give you a little bit of information that we have discovered doing research from weapons of World War One, particularly rifles that were used as sniper rifles and scope precision rifles. So we hope you enjoy, and yeah, let's get down to it. Mr.
Well, before
Sentry,
we do that, brother, we still got to give out our shout outs.
I keep forgetting that. I'm going to have to write that on an itinerary board, man, so I can remember that.
Gonna have to. To Dave's Had Enough, great YouTuber, Wingy Gaming. Check out his last podcast I did with him with BG. Shout out to BG Gaming. Shout out to Metro. He links will be down below for Metro. He does our artwork. Great guy. If you want any information, just hit him up on YouTube in a DM or hit him up on Twitter. It should be exact same as his YouTube channel name. Shout out to Geek Essentials with the sponsorship and everything like that. And shout out to everybody that's watching this. Also, to let y'all know that we will be doing polls every week. The first poll is already up for what game will you pick this year out of FPS shooters. If you could only pick one, it goes with Battlefield, Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare / Modern Warfare, and Titanfall 2. So hit up the polls. They're on Twitter, Google Plus. Links down below for our Twitter and our Google Plus page. Take it off, Matt.
Now you know everybody gonna be voting for that fucking Infinity Wars only because they want Modern Warfare 1 back.
Hey, like I said, we will see on the discussion for next week because we will announce the verdict from both links from Google Plus and Twitter, and I will tell you what everybody said. Right now, Twitter's got 6 votes, and 4 of them are for Battlefield, 2 of them are for Titanfall. So there hasn't been a single vote yet for.
Hey man, nobody gonna vote for Infinity Wars. They just want the Modern Warfare 1, man. That's all it is. That's all people gonna buy.
I feel you.
Modern Warfare 1 on next gen consoles. So okay, folks, let's keep this right on going. And what we show you a little bit of news that we've found that has been leaked, and see if I can get this to come up on the screen share and show you the links. Apparently that's not working. Let me just a second. Try this. Yes, share. Holy moly, that's getting a little weird there. All right, Mr. Sentry, you have to help me if you can see my screen on that one. See what's coming up? Okay, yeah, it should be showing.
Just go ahead and read off what you see because it's not showing up for me.
Okay. Well, what we got, according to a Reddit user that was leaked, and according to GearSiege.com, reported this on May 8th, that Battlefield 1, as of right now, according to the dev version of the game, has 31 achievements. Currently. Now, these are not guaranteed that these are going to be the achievements in the game or achievements taken out. This is the dev version, so these can change over the course of time between now and the time the game is released. But I'll dive right in here and give you some of them that they have. Of course, one thing that every Battlefield player has always wanted, and finally there's an achievement for it called Play the Objective. And the description says, as a squad leader, complete one objective in multiplayer. Of course,
it's a little easy though.
Dude, it might be easy, but at least at some point, it's going to push people to at least play the objective at least once.
Yeah, PTFO, motherfucker. I agree with you on that, but I'm just saying it's a little easy though. I felt like they should have did like maybe 10 objectives because you play. I mean, technically you can get that achievement in your first match by just capping one conquest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on how they're doing it. Like I said, this is the dev version of the game. This could be just a scaled down description of what you got to do, but yet it's not complete. It
The
complete one
the
objective
two
in
things I found
multiplayer. It could be any number of things.
the two things I found interesting on this achievement list is it says 6 missions for right now, so we know that there are 6 missions. We also know from the reveal that the campaign is going to have alternate teams that you'll be working with. So you may be working like campaign with the U.S., another section with the Germans. We don't know exactly who yet.
Yeah.
They have the battle system. If you look down there, you'll see like they were talking about the buying weapons, and the battle that came from Hardline.
Yeah, the war bonds thing. Yeah, I remember that in Hardline, where you had to complete objectives to earn money to buy and purchase
So
your
I'm wondering if
weapon.
that's going to be the same thing because that was the one thing that Hardline did right is it had that player. So like the more you play the objectives and the more you worked as a team, the more money you made, which helped you unlock better gear. If you solo played, you didn't earn as
Well,
much money as the other guys.
yeah, but I mean, if we're gonna compare some of this to Hardline, at the same time, that's where they messed up, man. I mean, when they started doing
No, they messed up because they
the
didn't have my tank in
lobby.
there. That's all that matters.
Well, I mean, basically what it boils down to is you got a bunch of situations where you had lobbies where people were just renting a server, holding these lobbies. Everybody come in, climb in cars or climb in vehicles, and drive around in circles for the entire length of the map as long as the timer until the timer ran out, just to collect money. So I'm
Oh
hoping
yeah.
that they have a way to set it up where you can earn money and it's not broken to that extent. I mean, at the same time, I don't want to see a situation where okay, I only get $1 for every kill, and a rifle that I want or gun that I want is freaking
See,
$5,000.
that's another thing that I want to know that kind of confuses me because how are you going to put like a money scheme onto a war game like Hardline? That kind of worked because it was cops and robbers. And as for Battlefield, you're not cops and robbers. You're the allies versus the occupation. Like, how is that gonna portray into that? So that's another interesting
Oh,
thing that I'm kind of into.
okay. Hold on. I just reread this. War bonds is the achievement that we're talking about, in case anybody was wondering. And according to this, the description says purchase a primary weapon in multiplayer. So
Yeah.
it could be just purchasing a weapon. I don't think it's going to be overpowered, but then again, we won't know until the game comes out.
Well, when I think that you read and what I gathered from it is it's like Hardlines because in Hardlines you could purchase your weapon like you didn't have to unlock weapons over time like you did in BF3 and BF4 and so on, right? You actually had the chance to purchase like whatever weapon you wanted to. So like if there was a gun that you wanted in like let's say the sniper category that you knew that was the gun that you wanted, you didn't have to sit there and wait to go through 6 other unlocks to get it. You could immediately unlock it, which was a really good thing that Hardlines did well.
Yeah, but Hardline also had that same aspect too, dude. I mean, you still had to be at a certain level before you can purchase certain weapons.
Oh yeah, I think they're going to still probably do that. But I mean, like you said earlier, one of the things that Hardline fucked up on is you could rent some of them server lobbies and exploit the money situation on there.
Yeah.
So like get at is with the money situation, how are you going to use that into a war game? It worked with Hardlines because that was the theme of the game. It was all about
Yeah.
robbing banks, taking cash, but with a war game, how are you going to use that? So that's something that I can't wait to see how they do that and implement that system.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of the other ones we got here is they're called assault enlistment, medic enlistment, scout, and support enlistment. And the description for these is, complete all of that particular type of missions in multiplayer. I'm curious to see what kind of missions they're referring to.
That's what they're meaning by that, according from what I've seen on their Twitter page and everything. That's
Mhm.
the classes.
Okay.
And they will have certain, I guess you would say, objective-based accommodations, kind of like how Halo does it, and that's what they're meaning by the missions.
So
So,
it could
like,
be something as simple as like, you in Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3, you had the dog tags for, completing different tasks for like the assault class. You had specific
Yeah,
tasks you had to do.
it was like, for getting
Okay.
so many revives, or throwing down so many support ammo crates. Yeah,
Yeah.
simple shit like
Okay.
that.
And we always got the typical ones, the episode completion missions, complete the episode or completed 100% and everything else. Then of course you got the corporal, reach rank 10, and multiplayer. Skill events. I'm kind of curious to what the skill events are. Have you heard anything about those?
No, I have not. I think that's going to be something that EA right now is really big in esports.
Hmm.
Unlike the other ones, they're going to set this one more for an East. It's going to be a lot more close quarter combat. Like from what Level Cap and Jack Frags and X Factors and everybody's been saying that has actually played the game, this game reminds them a lot of Bad Company, where like the game was suited for more close quarter engagements, but you could still snipe. And the way the maps are for like them close quarter in phase engagements over actually being like Battlefield 4, where the maps are so large that it takes you a good long time to get there.
Okay.
So I think that's what they're trying to do.
Okay. I mean that's interesting. I'm curious to
I
see
know
when
you
they
didn't play
this morning.
Bad Company.
I played Bad Company too, man, a little bit. I mean, I started
You didn't
playing
play the
and
multiplayer, son.
and in all honesty, I started playing it after I got into Battlefield 3, and I enjoyed playing it, except for nobody was on the play, so it was like I'm running around by myself, which is not cool when you're trying to play a
Moved on
Battlefield
after
game.
that.
So, another one, and now this one's going to be an achievement that's near and dear to my heart, and I hope they keep it in here because it is something that, being a recon player myself, that I'm looking forward to. It's called Counter Sniper. And the description states using a bolt action rifle, kill an enemy recon player in multiplayer. And if anyone out there is used to using snipers and sniping in any Battlefield 4 game, Battlefield 4 or Battlefield 3, you should know what counter sniping is. And for those of you who don't, that's when you're trying to snipe me and I'm trying to snipe you, and it basically turns into a sniper duel.
I knew you was gonna like that
So,
goddamn achievement. Where's my
dude, I
tank
love that.
achievement, ho?
I love that shit, man. That's gonna be awesome. And
Where's
of
my
course,
fucking tank achievement?
right? And of course, they got the little you complete one challenge, the code books, and find all of them. Typical stuff. That, I mean, most of them we've seen before. Um, they actually, it says here, operations, win one operation in multiplayer. I wonder if they're going to expand on that and have win multiple ones, things like that. It's
There's speculations what that operation achievement is. Some people are speculating that they're going to bring back like what Battlefield 3 had. Remember how they had the little co-op operations you could do in BF3? Some people are thinking that that may be finally a dinosaur survival mode, which I doubt.
that would be awesome, and that would kind of make sense with the skill events too. Maybe that's kind of what they're referring to.
That's the big rumor right now. The other thing is because how they did so well with Star Wars Battle Survival Mode, that we may get like a survival mode like that, which could be dinosaurs or just going against like the AI over a certain period of time. So that's what people are speculating it's going to be right now. I think it's just going to be an operation of a multiplayer map. That's my personal opinion, because I don't see DICE doing the dinosaur thing. I know like there's been huge Easter eggs all through Battlefield 4, all the way back to one about the dinosaur shit. That's where it came from. But I don't see them actually bringing survival versus dinosaurs in the game.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that would be something that a lot of people would want.
It's a thing that the fans and even myself wanted. Remember when we was on a road transmission our first time trying to find how to summon the T-Rex or
Good
do
Lord.
the
The Megalodon. Trying to get an entire group of 12 people together to do that one little Easter egg was crazy.
And not have the other team fucking try to gun you down as everybody's swimming to that one location.
Man, you sit there and say that, and the only thing I could think of is the Battlefield Friends episode where they're trying to pull the Megalodon out, and Neebs is over there killing everybody.
Fucking the Dev Neebs actually did that to us. Remember, because he threw the fucking chopper right into the fucking water and killed everybody.
Oh yeah. Gotta love those one guys that aren't team players here. Anyways, moving on along. Uh,
Fucking Neebs and Dolly.
what's the what was some other news, man? I'm kind of
As
something
far
else.
as right now, we know of 6 locations that's going to be into the Battlefield game. We know that Italy's going to be in Oman, which is in it's somewhere in between Egypt and the Middle East.
Mhm.
And we're also going to see the UK and supposedly Germany. So that we know that them locations are going to be in the game as of right now. We also know that it's going to have server browsers, so I think that they're going to go back to having renter servers. I know they didn't have renter servers in Star Wars Battlefront, but I think that was because that was a spin-off game and they wanted to try to keep the community in that because they needed to build the community. But in Battlefield, they've always had the renter server things ever since I think it was Battlefield 2. Modern Warfare is when they started doing the renter servers, and that was because of PC back then. And I don't see the Dice getting rid of that or EA because they make money off of that, and there's no way they're going to take that away. So we'll probably
True.
see renter servers come back, and Dice did confirm that there will be a server browser. So the
Okay.
only time they've ever had a server browser is when they had renter servers. We also
Um,
know we know the classes. We know there's a total of 6 classes, 4 weapon classes, and 2 vehicle classes. We do know that the assault rifle is going to use SMG as of right now. We don't know what the medic class is going to use. I theorize shotguns.
mhm.
You were saying rifles,
Yeah,
just
I'm
regular
thinking,
rifles.
if you start looking at some of the ways that the World War I was, and as it progressed into World War II, if you 20, 30 years down the road, I mean, your assault guys, there was very few SMGs, especially in World War I. They primarily showed up at the end. So you were looking at guys using, Winchester,
Well, see, we don't know the
Model
time frame
1886
of.
rifles, which is something I would love to see in the game. I mean, I would love to be out there, playing the Duke and cocking my rifle around and pulling the trigger with a lever action. I'm interested to see what they're going to use because
See, but that's the thing too. We don't know the time frame. We don't know if they're going to be doing that at the beginning of the World War I or
mhm,
if it's at the end because World War I time frame was 1913 till 1918. So like that's a 5 year time span that they can
yeah.
work in.
Well, I mean,
And
and like I
as
said,
far as SMGs, there was a lot of SMGs being used, but like they were primarily, I would say, the most popular SMGs. There was probably only about 15 or 20 of them at the most, but there was a lot of knockoffs because one of the things that I've noticed doing research on World War One is like one weapon could have 6 different variations of that one weapon.
yeah.
So like that's one thing that you have to take into account.
Mhm. I mean, dude, I hope they do it. I would love to do it. I mean, we had what was it? What was it called in Battlefield 4? The little lever action um, shorty that what was
You're
the
talking
name of
about
the
the pistol that was
yeah, it was under the pistol class.
I
Oh,
can't remember the
I
name. I
can't
know
even
what you're
remember
talking
it.
about. It was like an old Western
Yeah, and if you
fucking
start
rifle.
if you start looking at the timelines, I mean, that was the primary source of weapons they used at the beginning of the war for high rate of fire.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting.
Another thing we know is the like we don't have an engineer class, and I think that classes now. So I think that's going to take place of the engineer classes because they did say that the vehicle classes you will be able to get out of the vehicles and yada yada or move around. You're not going to be just so solely stuck to the vehicles. But when you pick that class, everybody knows that that's your role.
Okay.
That you were meant to be a vehicle, so they will have primary weapons of their own. So we don't even know what their primary weapons are. We know that the LMG class is the assault is the support class, and that's going to have LMGs. I want to see with these LMGs because a lot of them had cool barrels, which basically held water and tanks into them. I want to see them. I want to see an animation, and I know people are going to think this is weird as fuck, but this is something that was common in World War I. Pissing into the tank to fucking cool down your barrel.
No, I mean,
That was very common. That was a very common thing that they would do if they didn't have water. They would piss into it. So Just saying that would be a little interesting because that also brings that Easter egg about the whole shit bucket and piss bucket that everybody talks about in the Battlefield community. So just going on with that, I got my
Hey,
piss barrel, son.
that's yeah. Forget the shit bucket, guys. We gotta use the piston.
Friends,
Yes.
watch it.
If you haven't check it out, man, check out Battlefield Friends. It is these guys are hilarious. They do a lot of good stuff. Um, Next, moving on. I mean, what other did they release any more news, or are we just kind of still stuck in that waiting mode of trying
No,
to
that's
figure
the
it out?
only that's the only real news they came out with so far. They haven't announced anything about the naval. We do know that there will be naval combat because they did confirm that, but they haven't said anything else. A guy on Twitter asked, he was like, "Will we see naval combat like we've seen in Battlefield 4?" And the Bond said, "Of course." That so
Okay.
we do know that there's going to be former naval combat. So we don't know anything really about a lot of the tanks. They have confirmed that we will probably see tanks being used more as a team-based system. One person would have some gripes with that because of how most Battlefield players, especially the blueberries, play. I don't see that working out really well. But if you have a good community that play Battlefield religiously, it would work out well with people like us. But like for people that are just joining into the franchise, I don't see that doing. But we can get into that on next week's discussion if that's the poll that people want to do. Which that is
Okay.
the poll for Twitter and Google Plus is next week. Do you want us to hear us talk about the tanks and the boats, or do you want to hear us talk about the planes, or your choice? Hit us up, put a comment. If there's any weapons or classes or anything that you want us to talk about, I will be reading the comments afterwards.
Yeah, folks, make sure you let us know what you want to hear. I mean, we're doing this, trying to give you guys some information and everything else. I mean, um,
Put
yeah, we
some
like to sit
knowledge
around and
down into you, son.
bullshit, but we like to help the community out. We're all gamers, and we like to put any knowledge we can out there. So, I mean, with that being said,
Hashtag piss barrel.
yeah, it's hashtag piss barrel, man, because it's gonna be the new thing. Forget the shit bucket. We're just gonna piss in a rifle. All right.
Hell yeah, son.
Moving on. Let's talk about some of these the rifles of World War One. We got some of these new rifles that most people they're not used to. Um,
You got that list of the top 15 that I sent you?
I got got the list here. I'll read some out, and you guys know. The one right
Them
now,
photos up, son.
yeah, I got them up. The one right now that I'm screen sharing is the M1886 Labelle. This comes with the scope that's on it, which I don't see on there. There's another picture of it here soon with the Apex Model 1916 scope. Now, keep in mind, guys, these scopes were very low powered. They weren't designed to be able to see the four like we do on the current games with the 20 times and the 40 times. These were maybe most of them didn't go past maybe a 6 power at the most. They were very, very low powered scopes.
That is what I
Um,
forgot to tell you, Matt. And I didn't say channel. You are correct. A lot of these didn't go past actually an 8-time scope. I think was the highest,
yeah,
and that was a German rifle that had that. It's the one at the very end of the list
yeah,
had that
we're getting
scope.
yeah, we'll get into that
But
one. The,
but
the
that was
game
because
breaker. Yeah,
engagements weren't really that large. I mean, most of these
yeah. I
rifles didn't
mean,
even go past 600 meters.
it's any of them. Like this one that we're screen sharing the Labelle. It doesn't really show what caliber it is. I'm assuming with the French and 8 round, it was
It
probably
was
using
a
what the majority of the
three
British
three oh
did.
three caliber.
It's 303 infield is what I figured it
Yeah,
was. So I mean, yeah, man. I mean, they had distance. They could shoot these long distances, but without being able to see at that distance, you were not taking someone's head off at 600, 700 yards for these rifles because you could not see that far.
well, they
And these
really weren't
scopes,
that accurate either.
that too. I mean, these you got to remember these rifles were not originally. They were most of these With that being said, most of these rifles, some of these guys that had rifles, when they went into combat in World War I, this was the rifle they hunted with to feed their family. This wasn't a government issue rifle. I mean, that come in at some point during the war, but the majority of these rifles were what they used every single day when they were back home. So, and then they started bringing in some of these more popular rifles like the Lebel and the
Well, the
the
Lavelle was
Mausers.
used with the one that we're talking about right now was used for the French forces, and it was
Mhm.
an 8 round magazine. The capacity for it, it was a to let everybody know also. That way, we can also get
Yeah.
an idea of like which of these weapons were used. If we look
Mhm.
at the forces too, we can get an idea of what maybe we'll see
Yeah.
for like the different teams. Like Americans versus the French or whatever. So
Yeah.
that was the reason why I put that in there.
Okay, yeah, because this one, like, look, the French were really big with the labels. I mean, granted, that is a kind of a French term. The scope that's being shared right now on this label is actually the Apex Model 1916, and as most people can look at it and tell, it looks more like something like an ACOG or something like that. So we're
An
not going to have
interesting
powerful
thing about
scopes.
an interesting thing about a lot of these scopes that we're going to see that will mess up a lot of people is these scopes are put more towards the left side of your gun, and they're more offside because of the way the chambers of the magazines were, that
Mhm.
the chamber would fire out from the right and it would fire right under the scope. So like when they went to reload and everything, they would reload with the right hand and they would look through the scope with their left eye. So like
Yeah.
we don't do that nowadays. I mean, it's completely different from
No,
what they
because
were doing. It was very that.
well, it was. I mean, you got to think about it in the same sense of back in the day. I mean, they didn't make right-handed and left-handed weapons like they do nowadays.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can go to the store and you can pick up any AR and you get it in a right-handed or left-handed version. You can pick up any hunting
Most
rifle
UK
and
weapons
get it
were
in either
all
one.
left-handed.
Yeah, and I mean, at the time period, especially for the American troops, every rifle that Americans had was all what we would refer to as right-handed rifles. Very few, they might have
Yeah.
released a few left-handed, but
Well, actually,
they're all
that
ejected
was
to
the
the
key
right
difference.
and everything else.
That
Go
was the
ahead,
key
John.
difference between the U.S. forces and a lot of the European forces. Is most of the European forces were left-handed, and their scopes were set on the left side, and they would look through the left side. As a lot of the U.S. forces, their scopes were more centered base, and they were right-handed scopes rifles.
Okay.
That's the Lavelle right there that you're putting up with the bayonet. That's actually the bayonet that they use for most of the rifles in the game
That
in there.
that's gonna be awesome to be able to stick that through somebody's throat when they run up on you. This
That's basically a
is
goddamn machete.
right. Damn sure was. The one we're showing
Man,
right
can you
now
think
is
of how
the
that fucking bayonet charge is gonna be?
dude. Man, I don't even want to think about it. I mean,
Oh, that was
it's a
another thing
part
I
of
forgot to
mental.
bring up. They said when you do the bayonet charge that you're gonna have to commit to the bayonet charge. Like you're not gonna be able to just get out of it. So like it's something that you're gonna commit to.
So it's going to be you're going to go into a kind of a cutscene type deal and animation.
I think it's gonna kind of be like you remember Gears of War 3, right? With the roadie run was once you started the roadie run up, and
Mhm.
you went to go do the charge with the retro lancer. That you kind of committed to it to an extent until you either hit the guy or you hit something else.
Yeah,
Ammo ran out. I think it's gonna be the same way. You're gonna have like gonna be you hit the guy, you stand and I think that's how it's gonna run out to be.
okay. This one is also this is the Labelle. See if I can get this right. Berthier, ML
Birthier.
MLE. Yeah, MLE 1907 and 1916. This is a
It's the
BSR 8 round
predecessors to the
magazine.
first.
Yeah, this is the second edition of the Labelle that was used. It looks like a pretty nice rifle. From what I can tell, it looks like it was probably a 308 Enfield as well. Which again, a lot of the
No.
European
This one was
forces,
an eight times five,
8 by what was the
8 by 50. It's an 8 by 50
8 by 50 millimeter.
millimeter.
Okay,
Yep, and it was a five
now
round magazine used by the French forces.
nice. I mean, I'm noticing a lot of these are going to be small rounds. They're not going to be really big. Uh,
Well, they didn't have standard rounds like we have now because they didn't have the Geneva Convention
yeah,
or anything like that where they actually use standard ammunition. So like a lot of these have different ammunition types because like it was just basically whatever you could get.
and yeah, this one. See, what is the name of this one? I think this is one of my yes. This is one of my favorite rifles of this period. This is the Lee Enfield MK3. These were a very popular English rifle. It came in a 303 Enfield rifle caliber with a 10 round magazine. The thing I love about this
Second
particular
highest round
picture,
magazine that we found.
yes, a large round magazine. Very this Enfield Lee Enfield rifles were at the time period some of the most accurate rifles there were. That's why the British
Also,
forces used them.
my bad, Matt, for cutting you
Good,
off.
you're
This
good.
is
You're
also
fine.
one of the very first ones that used the center scope instead of like the scope off to the side.
Yeah. That's for some reason. I think it's again. It was because everybody was considered right-handed, so the scope was there. The rifle be on your right shoulder. The scope's moved over the left, so you're not actually looking over the top of the rifle. This one, they did bring it straight over the top of the scope, and infield definitely got it down to where they could kick the casing after the round out without hitting the scope. And I think that was another reason they did it. Was most of them, the earlier rifles, when you would pull the bolt back to rack a new round, the casing would eject and go straight up over the person. Supposed to go over the person's head, but it would go straight up in the air, and that's why they kind of offset the scopes to the left to clear that. The thing I
The
like about
other
this
beauty,
is go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, the other beauty about this rifle too is this is one of the other only other rifles out of a small few that was actually carried over to World War II. So like this
Yes.
rifle was still used in World War II even after 20 years
Yeah, so if
from when it
anybody
was
has
originally made.
played, I'm sure it was probably in Battlefield 1942. I know for a fact if you ever played Call of Duty 3, I know it was in there because I used it all the time, and I loved it. It's very accurate, nice rifle. I like this picture because it shows how it was actually used, or not really used, but carried. You had your sheath for your bayonet, which attached to the end of your gun, and you had a case that you could take your scope off and put in to protect your optics so you wasn't damaging your optics while you were moving around. So it's really interesting to see how they did it. Moved it around. This is another picture of the infield. Now there was
There was another thing I wanted to note was a lot of these optics, they were mainly if it broke or anything happened with it, you was pretty much screwed. All demand of these optics. We won't see that in the game because obviously, really, in all honesty, almost all the rifles could become a sniper rifle with the right scope attachment, and that's what
yeah.
made these rifles what they were.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it sometimes even to some of the best rifles out there, or best marksmen out there during the time period. One in particular um, was an American rifleman. Is Some of you may know who he is. His name was Alvin York, and he was a sergeant in the army. Um, didn't originally got drafted to go in. He did not want to go there, and ended up doing pretty well for himself. He captured 188 Germans by himself. Stormed, I think it was 3 or 4 machine gun nests. I mean, and he used open sights on his rifle. But that's again comes back to the whole thing. The rifles they used was something they used all the time. So I
Mhm.
mean, let's see. I'm trying to get back to this other picture of the infield so they could see the side left mount on the scope. See if I can find. Well, there was one. There it is. This is a close up of how this was actually mounted on top here, and that's the infield. And then there it is. This is another picture of the label that we showed earlier, and you can see how the scope is actually mounted to the left of the stock. Again, it was before largely due. You can see the top of the ejection port right there on the very top of the middle, and that's where the round came out of,
And it
or the
had been
casing.
hard to operate, like the reload and then rechamber everything with the way them were mounted. I mean, because you
Yeah,
got to take yourself off. the actual, like, you had to take yourself off the sights and everything like that. Use your
Well, I mean,
left eye, which I'm pretty sure is very difficult to do when it's the way it was
yeah, because you're
positioned.
basically using your left eye. You're having to lay your head on top of the rifle just to get your left
Yeah.
eye over to the scope. Um, Again, it might have had something to do with people being right eye dominant for the most part, and you being able to see open with your right eye and then looking down the scope with your left eye or something like
See,
that.
I'm right eye dominant,
Um,
so I know that wouldn't work too well with me because of
no,
the way
because
it was positioned.
I'm the same way. I cannot aim my rifle with my left eye. I can't look down a scope with my left eye. I got to use my right eye, or else everything's messed up. One thing that
Yeah, and that's probably for a lot of people,
yeah,
especially in that time period.
oh yeah. One of the things I noticed, and I'm very interested, if you look at this picture right here, you look at the bolt and see if I can find it on. You can see it somewhat here. Now, the bolt for the label was straight. It was not, and when I say straight, it's not like the straight bolt. This bolt comes straight out from the side of the gun. When you would have to, anybody that knows anything about bolt action rifles know you have to lift it and pull it back and then push it back forward
They
and push it
was
back down. This, when you would have to re-rack around, you would have to turn the bolt pretty much straight vertical. Actually, you know what? That would be why they would have to put that over there, because it would get the scope would get in the way. And that's why it
yeah.
was changed on the infield, because if you look at this one here, you can see on this infield in particular where the bolt is, it lays flat to the side of the rifle. And then there it is. You notice that this one's down lower than the bolt. So they infield done a great job with redesigning the bolt so it wouldn't get in the way, and you still be able to do the job that needed to be done back in the day. Now, this is a screenshot from one of the games. Which game did you get
You're
this
talking
from?
about the Sniper Elite.
Okay, Sniper
It's
Elite,
Sniper
and
Elite.
this is the Carcano M1891, and it wow, that's pretty interesting. It was a 6x5x52 or 6.5x52 millimeter, and came with a 6 round magazine. Looks like it was probably top fed too, like most of them. Here's another picture
This
of
was
it.
used by the Italian forces.
Yeah, the Italians used the Carcanos a lot. Carcano. I am saying it right. Okay. If
Yeah,
you
you're
look at this
saying it right.
picture, if you look at this picture here, and this is what I find interesting. This particular rifle, the bayonet was attached to the rifle. It looks like on here, and it just folded around back up into the foregrip of the stock, which is kind of interesting to me. And you wouldn't think that would kind of
Yeah,
throw you
the
off a little bit.
Carcano had an interesting design that some of them actually had the bayonet fashioned and manufactured onto the rifle, but they would pull them
Mm,
back. It was the only rifle in World War One that had that design, so like it was attached to the rifle as a whole.
okay.
They changed it out with the other Carcano that we're going to talk about after that, though.
Okay. Yeah. Let me get to that one. See what's the next one I know is a Carcano too. Uh, which is I think the next one on the slide. Yes, sir.
It's a straight pole bolt action Carcano six
Yep.
round magazine used by the Italian forces. It's this one was very interesting. There was only 20. There were only 2,000 made in the time of World War One. So most of them were used for special forces operation units that were in the war wars, or they weren't really used as much as in the front lines as the regular Carcano.
So, but you said this was used by the Italians, so this was more of a this is going to be on. I can't remember what the
It was mainly used in the it was mainly used over in the Philippines. It was also used in the Middle East, and it was used over in the theater war in Italy a lot.
yeah, because it says
They
here
wasn't used as much over in UK.
the description of this particular rifle is the Carcano M1891 with La Filo Tiziana Milano
Yeah,
scope, 6 round magazine. Like you said, there was only 2,000 of these made. They were really rare. Very interesting rifle. I mean, it was used by the the non-allied forces, so to speak. So kind of interesting. I'm curious to see where how some of these rifles play out because they're very interesting. And again, I'm constantly noticing that bolt because it's so much different than the way rifles are nowadays. Uh, the next picture we have up, this is the Pattern P14 Mark One. It's a 303 infield with a 5 round magazine. This was used by the British forces. Very interesting looking rifle. It's got that classic look that I'm familiar with as far as like the British rifles always having the wood go all the way up almost to the end of the barrel. I don't know if they thought
The
that was
interesting
for
thing about this is there was 4 different verifications of this rifle. Like this is the most
yes.
popular one that we have, but there were 4 different. Like the British had 4 different types of verifications of this rifle. They also had one that was a short barrel, which was used
Mm,
for more smaller, closer quarter engagements, and then you had the long barrel version, which is the one that you're seeing right there.
okay, yeah, that's and then this one shows that the same thing with the first infield that we showed. It has the little case that where you could just mount your optics and put in the case so you didn't damage your optics while you were running ops. The next rifle we got is this
It
one.
should be the
Yep,
exact
this
same
one right
rifle with
here.
a different Verican,
Yeah, this is the same one. This is a American version of it. Where's that?
which is
Right
done
here.
by Springfield,
Yeah.
which is one of the best companies
Well,
back in the day.
this is the pattern P17. Now it's an infield. Interesting. The scope that's on this was made by it's a Winchester A5 scope. This was this particular rifle was a 30-06 5 round magazine. Most people that are hunters know a lot about the 30-06. It was a very popular round when it first was released, and it's still a very popular round for hunting nowadays. It's just not viable
It,
in military use anymore.
it was one of the most common rifles used for the U.S. forces.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely true. Now this next picture that I want to show everybody is it's not the rifle itself, it's the scope. This is a very interesting scope. Uh, it's called a Warner Swayze scope. It's
Is
a
that the 4 times matter, or is that the 5 times that you're showing?
I think it's the 4 times. This is the one that was primarily used by the Canadian forces. It's
Yeah, that's the
very
4 times.
it's a unique scope because it's not like most of the scopes that we've seen so far where the eyepiece ran straight down a straight tube to the thing. This actually was offset. You would look in it and it would hit one mirror at the front and then bounce to a mirror in the back and then out through the top. So you was actually it was the first kind of uh, not telescopic, kind of like the way a periscope works when you look through a periscope, kind of that type of deal. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for.
That was one thing I didn't bring in this, but I
Mm,
wanted to do it in a gadget class. There were some they were called trench scopes that were used along with sniper rifles, LMGs, and other rifles during World War I that
mhm.
stuck above the trench, and they would use them and they would mount these rifles to like a tripod, and they would fire them from of the trenches, but they would
Yeah,
look through the periscope to fire. And I was going to use that in the next cast that we do if we do when we do one on gadgets, because I wanted to say that because I think that's going to be a gadget for
that
the
yeah
sniper class.
that's gonna and it would be a very useful gadget too. I mean, having having your head not sticking up is going to be good, but we'll definitely cover that when we do the gadget episode. So this is another view of that particular scope, the Warner Swayze. And it's very interesting. And this rifle here is the Ross Mark III M1913. It has the Warner Swayze scope on it. This particular rifle was used by Canadian forces. It's a 303 infield and had a 5 round magazine. So it first thing that I notice is that the wood on the foregrip of the rifle stops and the barrel extends out seems like another 2 to 3 feet. Looks like it's a very long rifle. I don't know how they're going to play that out.
Don't know if I sent you an image, and I'd probably have to relook to see if I did. Of a few of these rifles had designs on the butt of the guns that the soldiers would put, and I think that's what they're going to do for the custom classes is how we're going to put our signias and stuff instead of having like really like off the wall camo schemes. We're going to have like
Mhm.
design camo schemes on our guns, like etchings on the wood and stuff like that. Because that's what a lot of the weapons would have is they would etch, the symbols into the metal or the wood based on like what unit and stuff that you was in. So I feel like that's what they're going to probably do.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, man. I mean, this is going to be some very interesting stuff. Now, the next rifle that I was going to talk about, I'm actually going to skip it to the second to last rifle because everybody's going to know it the minute I show a picture of it, or most people will. What's this one? This is right here. This particular rifle right here. Now, this is a Austro-Hungarian Forces rifle. This is the Steyr M1895 straight pull. It was Austria and Hungary. Now they were kind of using a lot of these. These are a particular, if I'm not mistaken, Steyr is a Russian-made a Russian rifle company. Now their rifles were 8 by 50 millimeter rifles, and most of them come with a 5 round internal magazine. As you can see from this picture, it's a top loader. It wasn't like the magazines like we're used to nowadays. These you actually had to push the rounds in and then pull the pin out. You can maybe see the little clip that the round slid in. You push it in the rifle and then pull the clip out to load them into the rifle. Now
You want to know another interesting fact about this rifle that I
what's
didn't
that?
put in there? Uh, Adolf Hitler used that exact same rifle when he was over in World War One.
You know what? I forgot all about that. Very interesting that you should bring that up. And most people did not know that Adolf Hitler. A lot of people don't realize that he was actually in the trenches in World War One.
Yeah, if it wasn't for World War One, he wouldn't even attempted to do what he did in World War Two because he held a lot of regret and animosity towards what happened in World War One. That and the
Yeah,
fact that he got chlorine. If I'm not mistaken, it was either chlorine gas, which is the green smoke in the trailer, which was actually the nickname
I
for
thought
it
it
was
was.
actually green mist.
I thought it was mustard gas.
No, no, the green smoke
Okay.
is always represented for chlorine gas. It wasn't
Okay.
represented for mustard gas. Mustard
Yeah.
gas had more of a yellowish effect to it.
Yeah. Now what most people, I mean, with him, his whole thing was that's in all actuality that's how the mustache that everybody come to know. The reason back in the day when the gas mask, everybody had full beards, and this is something that kind of be cool with the gas mask. He couldn't get a seal, so he was exposed to it. So he shaved everything off except for that one little slip, and that's a little fact there that it's kind of stupid and irrelevant to the topic,
Yep,
but
it
still, but
it put him out of
kind of
the
interesting. And put him out of the
it
military.
put him out of the campaign for an entire year, and that was the year before the campaign of World War One ended. And according to all like the notes and everything I've read from the History Channel, that was one of his main reasons why he started War Two and getting all his forces and everything ready for that is because he felt a lot of resentment to what happened in World War One.
Yeah. Moving on, aside from the history lesson, the next rifle that we have is the Steyr M95 Sportster sniper, straight full bolt action sniper rifle. It was an 8 by 50 again, Manichean 5 round internal magazine, and again it was used by the Austro-Hungarian forces as well. I mean, this is pretty much just a different variant of the one that we just showed. And again, like you said earlier, I mean, a lot of these rifles are just different variants of the same
Yeah.
rifle, depending on how they were designed and
Well, before we
everything
move
else.
to the next rifle, you know how we were talking last week about we were thinking that lobster armor guy with the machine gun and the flamethrower guy may be battle pickups as like permanent weapons, kind of how it is in Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah,
Seeing that Adolf Hitler and everything was in World War I, we may like. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I'm just speculating that he could be a variant, of one of them battle pickups. Someone
Yeah,
could
he
run
could,
around
but
as Hitler.
yeah, but ultimately, I think that's going to be not something
Well, they could
they're going to
use
want to do.
different.
But then again, who knows? I mean,
Well, what I was going to get at is they could use different famous people from World War I, like the sniper that we were just talking about, the American sniper. They could
mm,
use them as battle pickup variants if they're going to like do that whole Star Wars Battlefront thing.
yeah, I
So
mean,
that was a good little thing that we could happen.
yeah, I mean, it depending on how they do the battle pickups. I mean,
Yeah,
between them. This rifle, it's kind of unique in its own. It's a Mauser Gewehr M1888, 5 round bolt action, 5 round magazine. It's interesting enough. I mean, this everybody when they start thinking about the most guns that came out of Europe was a 7.62. This is actually a larger caliber round. This is a 7.92 by 57, so a little bit
yeah.
larger round magazine. And this picture is interesting. It shows the cleaning kit that the GIs or the German forces would actually carry around them so they could clean their rifle along with their bayonet. And the magazine on this thing is way forward of the scope and the bolt, which is kind of
It
unique.
was one of the very first forwarded magazines used in
Yeah,
that time period.
very interested to see. I mean, Mauser was very innovative during this time frame. They came up with a lot of innovations during World War I as far as rifles go. The
Actually, they came up
next
with a lot
one,
of innovations with
yeah, World War II.
assault rifles after the time period.
All right. The next one is another Mauser. This is the Gewehr. I'm probably murdering that name. The M1898. It's again a 7.92 by 57 millimeter Mauser. 5 round magazine. Is German forces use rifle. It's got a very unique design. I liked it. I liked how it's got the flip up rear sight so you could get more distance and you didn't technically have to have a scope if you could see that far. It's
Yeah, that was
straight pull bolt that almost comes vertical to the rifle.
that was the interesting thing I found. That was an interesting thing I found about this rifle. There wasn't a lot of scopes used for it because of that design. So there I couldn't find anything really too much on scopes. I mean, it would use so many different variations of scopes because of the way that you could attach it onto the rifle.
Yeah. The next one, I mean, this is kind of. Oh no, nope. We got to go back. I can't go to that one yet. That's the last one. So
Oh yeah,
we
that one's got a good
yeah,
discussion on it.
this one's gonna be a little interesting. So we're gonna go back to a rifle that is very iconic, so to speak. I mean,
Did we do the
most people
Springfields yet?
most people are gonna pick this one out when they see it, and then here it is. In case you're not very familiar with it, this is the Springfield 1903. Now, uh, it's got a Warner Swayze scope on this particular one. Now they come with different scopes. They had different scopes that they used on them. Um, this rifle, I mean, what can we say about it? I mean, it's iconic. If anybody that
It's
anything with precision rifle shooting knows what a 1903 is. I mean, Springfield mass produced these for World War I, World War II. I mean, they were heavily used by
they were
snipers in
used
World
in
War II.
Vietnam.
They've been around. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that there's not people still to this day that are out shooting 1903s on a regular basis. Very iconic rifle. Of course, it's got the American Forces patented 30-06 caliber rounds, so 5 round magazine. Um, you were gonna say something? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, dude.
I was gonna say it was the main weapon for a lot of the U.S. forces. Actually, the really interesting thing about this rifle is a lot of the British started using this near the end of the World War because it was so well diverse. Like it didn't have really too much of any problems, and they preferred it over the ones that they were using near the end.
Now,
So that was another little fun little fact about it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, this was not a civilian production rifle when it was first made. This is not one that most people carried with them when they went over there. This was actually a military rifle. This was
Yeah, it was a military
created
rifle.
just for the
Springfield
military.
Springfield. It was created for the purpose of World War One during I want to say near the second year after World War One,
Mhm.
right when the Allies, right when the U.S. started getting into World War, into the main campaign. So it wasn't ones that was military issued too. Like you
Oh,
said, or rifles that were just hunting rifles. You there?
yeah, they were what people used every day. Now, taking of this, I mean, this particular picture that I'm showing right now on the screen, it has the Winchester A5 on it. Um, kind of it just goes to show how what kind of things they were using. I mean, it was basically just a tube magnifying glass, just so they could get better view of the land. I love the coloring on this rifle, personally, dude. I mean,
That's the A5.
yeah, the Winchester A5.
Yeah, that's the they called it the straight pole scope because of the design of it looked.
It's very sleek, or there's nothing really protruding from it. It's just a straight tube.
Yeah,
I mean, but I mean, one of my favorite, like I said, one of my favorite characteristics about this rifle that I look is that the the finish of the wood on the rifle. I love that. I mean, to me, that's one of the things that gives it away is the color of it. Not very many rifles actually had that dark um, coloring on the rifle in the wood. Very iconic rifle. Like I said, so many people know what that rifle is. And now we're going to get into the cream de la creme. Now, this is the one. The discussion about this, guys, is how is this rifle going to fit into the game? And I'll go and I'll show a couple pictures of it beforehand. And, and you'll get it when I get to the last picture. I mean, you will get it. I mean, this is kind of what it looks like. It looks like your base rifle from World War One, and then you see it here with the little like a little small scope on it. That is the Zeiss 2.5 scope, but I'm assuming 2.5 is going to be 2.5 power. So you're only seeing 2.5 times the normal magnification. So it's not like it's that big. Um, Next one just shows another one of it naked. It kind of looks like a dancing or a Steyr, but and
oh, it was a
here's the
model
final
variation
picture.
of the Steiger.
Yeah. Now this is a Danzing. Now I'm assuming this is because this rifle, from being a Mauser to a Danzing, it went to a different company started making this variant. It's still the Guard 98. Like I
This
said,
was
it's got a Zeiss 2.5 scope bolt action trench rifle from 1916. It shot a 7.92 by 57 millimeters. It was a very rare rifle used by the German forces. And here's the game breaking part. As you can see, the magazine. Now, this rifle, impressive 25 round magazine for a sniper rifle. Um,
this was a straight pole bolt action
yeah, straight
rifle.
pull bolt action. I mean, can you imagine as a sniper on the game being able to just sit there and pop off 25 rounds without having to reload? I mean, I don't think have we even had a rifle like that in a Battlefield game yet?
No, we're gonna when this will be the largest rifle in World War One that had 25 round magazines. This one was a 10 round
Yeah.
magazine. Anything between.
Didn't let me look at notes here. I think no, the Springfield only had a 5 round.
Yep.
So I mean,
Uh,
this is going to be
it,
OP'd if they put it in the game,
well,
especially having a
the other
25
thing
round.
about this rifle it was only anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 made in World War I before they started mass producing it after World War I. It was also used in World War II,
Yeah, because I
but it was
remember
a different
using it
verification of it in World War II.
I remember using it in Call of Duty 3 on whenever I was playing the German side. Nice looking rifle. It's but again, that variant of it in Call of Duty was the 10 round variant or 5 round variant, so it wasn't like completely overpowered. But I mean, 25
I think
rounds
that's what they're going to do with
sniper is going to
this.
be. They're going to put this rifle in there. They're going to have to lower the magazine size. There's no way they can
Yeah,
run
the
25
magazine.
rounds.
If this rifle comes with a 25 round magazine, there's no way anybody else would use any other rifle just because it has 25 rounds.
Well,
I mean,
actually,
the highest I see this going is 10.
you know what? I just thought of something. I mean, they could use it with 25 rounds, but you couldn't carry any extra magazines. That would be the only way to balance this rifle out is with a 25 round clip. Is you cannot carry any reserve ammo. And
They
then
would have to
again,
give you
now that would make it what?
reserve that magazine. But well, here's the thing: that most of the other anywhere between, even with your reserve ammo, 40, 45 or 50 rounds in total that you'll probably be able to carry. So they may give you 2 mags, and then that'd be it.
Yeah. I mean, but even still, that's 75 rounds. I mean, there's nowhere they're going to be able to give you. You use a Springfield 1903 and carry a
That'd be
five
50
round
rounds,
clip
Matt, not
again.
75.
And if it's 25 rounds and you said carry 2 extra magazines.
No, I mean just
Oh,
two
okay.
mags in
All right.
total.
All right. I'm thinking 3 total, one in the rifle and 2 extras. Yeah. But I mean, even if, okay, let's just two mags
Not
total. That's 50 rounds. So you got you got 5 round magazines for Springfield. I mean, you're still going to have to carry 45 rounds on you. I mean, that's a lot of rounds to be lugging around just to try to balance the rifles out as far as ammo
yeah, but
capacity
you have to
goes.
think this is a video game, and I was going to say this. They're going to take a lot of liberties with this video game. You could already see in the trailer,
Mm.
especially with the LMGs, because a lot of them LMGs were mounted LMGs. They weren't really carried due to the fact that
Yeah.
you really couldn't carry them because of the way the barrels were. They would overheat way too
Hashtag
much
piston my
that if
gun,
you pick
guys.
them up, yep, hashtag
Yeah.
pistol the gun, because the barrels would overheat and it would burn your hand. That's the reason why a lot of the LMG operators would carry oven mitts, or they would have
Mm.
handles that they would stick on the barrels to hold them. So like
Yeah.
I could see that being a factor even with some of these weapons, that they're going to take some liberties with them.
Yeah. I mean, hell, if it comes down to it and if you're overheating your barrel on a 25 round sniper rifle, I guess you can hashtag piss on your sniper rifle, folks. So,
I'm telling you, that needs to be a feature in the game, son.
I know, right?
Make it a
And there's my little logo. And thank you for adding that in under the pictures, man. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, guys, that's what we've seen. Now, one of the things we also wanted to get into a little bit, and some of the aspects that we had in other Call of Duty games, that something that we'd like to see. I know in this one, there's no way you're going to get the doping system, even though that was one of my favorite aspects of Battlefield 4 was the way they had the doping system. It made it a lot more friendlier for novice players that haven't had a lot of experience to be able to pick up the recon class and play the class. I guess it's some of the other things. I mean, that I would love to see that come back, but knowing with the size of the scopes and everything else, it's not going to be an issue, or it be something that's going to happen. I mean, you sniped a little bit on the game. Is there any aspects of the game that you would like to see back, or in the sniping mechanics, or you don't want to see back?
See, there's so many unknowns with this game because of the time frame. Like that time frame was innovations came from in combat and everything with the innovations of the weapons, because like we didn't really have a lot of SMGs, assault rifles, or LMGs. Fully automatics didn't really even come into effect until World War I and even after World War One. I'm interested to see how they take liberties with like fully automatic weaponry, how they take liberties with like how they're going to do the melee system, because that's another big factor. Because from what they've said about it, sounds like it's going to have kind of like a, I want to say RPG aspect where each own little small weapon unique. Same with the vehicles. They said that
Mm.
each is for where you jump in a tank, and each tank is going to feel different, and same with the planes too. So like, there's so many unknowns that to account that out of this time we don't know.
Yeah.
Why we're doing this cast is because as we get closer to the development of the game and we get towards E3, we're going to get more information, be able to get it as fast as we can with your timely member, where it's not like 6 or 7 videos, or it's just one cast a week that you can listen to and get the understanding of what's
Yeah.
going on with the Battlefield community.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there are mechanics of sniping that I look forward to coming back. There's some that I don't, and there, like you said,
Hashtag
there
piss
are so many
barrel.
unknowns about this. Hashtag piss on your gun. Um, very interested. You should bring that up to keep your
Telling you,
rifle
man.
cool. But I
Piss
mean,
bucket from
hey,
Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4. Hashtag piss barrel.
yeah, keep that in mind, everyone. I mean, when you're running out of water in your LMG that's mounted and you need water to cool it off, just take your piss bucket and pour inside of it. It'll help you out. Um, I mean, that's ultimately. I mean, other than that, in all honesty, I can't really think of anything until we get more information. We'll do that in another episode with the what we want to see come back and what we don't when there's more information released. So I mean, right about now, we we, I think that's going to be it for the night, folks. You got
Hold on,
anything,
Matt.
sir?
Well, I was gonna give my little outro. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe, guys. Let y'all know. Like I said, hit me up on Twitter if you that on Twitter. It's J Sentries. On Google Plus. Our Google Plus link is in below. Our Facebook link is below. Like, get the word out. I mean, we're doing this for y'all. We're hardcore Battlefield fans, me and Matt are, and we're trying to get the word out on how the game's going to be.
Yes, sir.
Jason
Definitely.
Trees is out, son.
Right? Yes, sir, folks.
And
Yeah.
hashtag piss buckets wins.
Yes, definitely. Hashtag piss buckets. We'll see it in the comments section. Yes, like you said, share and favorite, pass it around. Let us know on those polls how you feel. We'll take the one. What did you say it was for next week that they're choosing from?
Next week's poll is going to be which game, if you had one game to pick out of FPS shooters this year, which one would you pick? It's Battlefield 4, Infinite Warfare / Modern Warfare, and Titanfall. And the also for next week's cast, there's a poll up right now. Put a comment down below if you want to like a particular to do or vehicles or anything like that. We'll check that out. The poll is World War One tanks and boats, and then the second poll is for that planes or fan favorite, which is basically whatever comment you leave at the bottom. The most comment will do.
Okay. And
And the
when are they
poll for next
expiring?
week's cast is only 3 days. Cast is for the weekly cast will be 6 days.
Okay, so we'll find out next Friday, guys, and we'll let you know on Saturday when we do the cast. And again, thanks for coming out, listening to us. Again, sharing favorite, keep us going, and we appreciate everything. And Blackhawk 1-5 out for Sentries Gaming. Peace.